शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। वीरेश्वरानन्ददयामृताब्धिं श्रीरङ्गनाथं च विज्ञानभानुं चिदानन्दरूप श्रीपुरुषोत्तमार्यं ध्यायन् हृदि स्थान् कृतिनं ह्यवैमि। ಮೈಕ್ ಯಾರು ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? ಬಾಸ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬಾಬಾಜಿ, the chairman of Hubballi branch of SIRC of ICI 2022-23, Shri Mallikarjun Pise, Shri Sanjeev Kumar Hadimani, Shri Dhanapal Munnolli, Shri Akshay Kumar Singhi, Shri Rishabh Upadhyay, Shri Pannaraj, and other office bearers of the committee and so many other things that have been responsible for making this session a grand reality with far-reaching consequences. Dear friends, I am extremely happy to be a part of this program. And the authorities have rightly thought that a program of this sort should become concluded with a spiritual session. After all, the right-thinking people always have it in their mind that spirituality, spiritual advancement, spiritual growth is the consummation of all human endeavors, all human efforts. In fact, if we go back to the days of yore, during the time that civilization in India was still in its rudimentary stage, then itself, during that long ago itself, India thought that spirituality must be the primary pursuit of every man. That was the result of long-standing study that Indians undertook right at the beginning of the dawn of civilization here. Swami Vivekananda sheds light upon this development that took place here in our own country. He says, the best and the most brilliant brains of India retired to forest and took themselves to the study of man from all possible angles, to the exclusion of all other pursuits. And the study was carried on for 50 long centuries. The result is Vedas and Vedanta, the basis of this grand Indian culture. Here we get a glimpse of how Vedas and Vedanta came into existence. It was out of the curiosity of some brilliant brains, curiosity of some great brains of India, to study man from all possible angles, because they observed the vicissitudes in the life of a man. Man goes up, comes down. For some time, he will have grandeur, greatness, everything that characterizes him. After some time, he will be doomed. The rise and fall, the up and down, always characterize man's life. The brilliant brains in India never wanted to be, or the brilliant brains of India never wanted a man to be the puppet at the hands of the circumstances. Man should not be a puppet at the hands of circumstances. He must be in a position to assert himself. Things must be at his command and not he at the command of the things. Sun should not command us. Rather, we must be in a position to defy the commandments of the sun. Death should not humiliate us. We must be in a position to throw a challenge to death itself. You may all know this is exactly the problem that haunted Siddhartha's mind for some time. Should everyone die at all? Should everyone go through the difficulties, the tribulations of old age? Should everyone go through the humiliation at the hands of sickness? Should everyone become sick? Should everyone become old? Should everyone die? These were the questions that were looming large before the eyes of Siddhartha. He wanted an answer for that. Remember, he never wanted to find a solution for poverty of man, because India never had any poverty at that time. He never wanted to find a solution for the communal problems the country was faced with. The country didn't have any sort of communal problems at that time. We didn't have the issue of corruption haunting us. Normally, we had overcome all these problems naturally, commonly, that man will be faced with. Siddhartha's problem was how to find out a solution for sickness, which even now, till today, no one has found out in any other part of the world. India has found out the solution for the problem of sickness, for the problem of old age, for the problem of death. Peculiar problems, and solution also sounds a bit peculiar. What is the solution? Spirituality is the solution. There is no other way. Death can never be overcome by any sort of a drug, by any sort of a medicine that a pharmaceutical company may claim that it is able to come out with. Problem for death is spirituality. Problem for old age is spirituality. Problem for sickness is spirituality. Why only so much? Problem for solution for any problem that man is faced with is spirituality. Again, Vivekananda sheds light upon this beautiful issue. At one point he says, problems are understandably many, but the solution is one. This is an observation by this great thinker of our times, Swami Vivekananda. Problems are understandably many, but the solution is one. What is the solution? Man must become a new kind of man. That is all the solution. Man must have a rebirth. The Vedas and Vedanta, which is the product of 5,000 years of long study undertaken by the best and the most brilliant brains of India, says solution for every problem is Dvijatvam, second birth. India never pays any attention. India never pays any importance to the birth of a man from the womb of his mother. That birth has no relevance at all in Indian scheme of things, Indian scheme of cultural parameters. The birth at the hands of your parents has no relevance at all, has no value at all, because it is not in your hand. India understood this truth long ago. What is not in your hand, in our hands, we should not be held responsible for. The physical birth of a man is not in our hand. In apparent sense, of course, not in absolute sense. It is not in our hands. Therefore, we should never pay any attention or importance to the physical birth of man. What is in your hand is your intellectual birth, your spiritual birth, the birth that you take at the hands of your guru. Your guru also will give you a birth, that is the rebirth, the second birth, Dvijatvam, birth for the second time. What is the sort of the man that you have created yourself as a result of the education you have received at the hands of your guru? That goes a long way in fixing a position for you in Indian society. When you become a man fit enough for public service, he used to come to be called as Aryan. Aryan is the man that has taken the second birth. People that refuse to take the second birth, that were content with the physical birth only, the physiological birth only, they were called as Anarya, and they were not eligible for public service in ancient Indian scheme of things, in ancient Indian scheme of public affairs. Therefore, when Arjuna refused to fight, the word that Krishna uses for calling him is Anarya Jushtam. You are behaving like an Anarya. This doesn't befit an Aryan. Kutastva Kashmalamidam. Where from this pollution has entered into you, Arjuna? Kutaha. Kutastva Kashmalam. This pollution, this nonsense, this rubbish. Where from this rubbish has entered into you, Arjuna? Kutastva Kashmalamidam. Vishame Samupasthitam, at this exigency, during this hour of emergency, where from this pollution has entered into you. Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtam. Something that is unbecoming of an Aryan. Aryan culture does not approve of the stance that you have taken during this hour of exigency. Anarya Jushtam. Asvargyam. Neither it gives you heaven, nor it gives you luxury, nor it gives you position, standing, appreciation in this physical birth or in this earthly life. Anarya Jushtam, Asvargyam, Akirtikaram, something that causes infamy for you. So Arya is the one who is eligible for public service as a result of the second birth that he has received at the hands of an able guru. As our friend was saying about that, guru is a combination of two letters. It is so beautifully defined in our scriptures. Gushabdastvandhakarasyat, Rushabdastan nirodhakaha, Andhakara nirodhitvat, Guruhu ityabhidiyate. Guru is not the person who has passed a B.Ed degree, the one who has got a PhD degree, or the one who has got a D.Ed degree or B.Ed degree. Guru is the one who is capable of dispelling all darkness from your life, from the life of Shishya. Shishya has got ample light after his education at the hands of the Guru. So what is the use of light? Light can enable you to see things, to see people, to see life as it is, as they are. We have failed to see life as it should have been seen. We don't see life as it is. Always it is the subjective knowledge that we always exercise towards the things that we come across in our life. We fail to understand a man correctly because we have prejudices lurking in our mind that comes in the way of having the correct assessment of what sort of a person is he. Subjectivity, prejudice, biased. These are all enemies of knowledge. Subjectivity, biased mind, prejudiced mind, preoccupied notions about things that you are studying. All these things will have to go. A real guru will drive away all these things and puts you in the right stride. He provides you with the right vision. Arjuna could not have the right vision about what really war means and why he should engage himself in the war. He could see only the superficiality of the consequences of the war. He could never see the in-depth consequences of the war. Krishna could see. Therefore, Krishna here comes to be called as Jagat Guru, not only merely Guru, he is Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Life is not confined only to one birth. Arjuna was able to see the consequences of the war as confined only to the present birth. He could never see the pros and cons of why this war is taking place. He could never go back in time. He could never see ahead of his times. Time is a whole. Time is not compartmentalized. Your mind is compartmentalized. Your vision is compartmentalized because we always see things in the conscious state. We see things in the conscious state. Only the conscious mind sees the things. The subconscious mind, what is there in the subconscious mind of me? What is there in the subconscious mind of the person whom I am making a study about? I will never be able to see. Neither I can see my own subconscious mind, nor I can see the subconscious mind of the person whom I am studying about. Unless you become a person of the sort of Krishna, or unless you are properly educated at the hands of a real guru, you cannot do it. A guru is the one who enables you to see the whole of your consciousness, to see things with the help of the whole of your consciousness. Guru is the person that helps you to see the whole of the conscious world in which the person whom you are studying about is living. The totality of the knowledge of the subject can never be had unless you are properly trained by a guru. What is the subject Guru uses for this purpose? What is the subject Guru uses? Does he use physics? Does he use mathematics? Making use of physics or accountancy or mathematics cannot enable a man to have the total vision of the life that he is leading, the life he has entered into. For that we need the totality of consciousness, Purna Prajnatvam. The one who has that is Purna Prajna. Consciousness normally is divided into three stages, three phases, or whatever you call. There are three things, three compartments, three parts: the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious state, or the transcendental state. Spirituality is dealing with the superconscious state, dealing with the world, keeping yourself in the superconscious state, not in merely the conscious state. There is a big training for that. There is a huge training. That training we call as yoga. That is yoga. Of late, nowadays, we have started calling yoga confined to yogasana. We are doing yoga. When people say we are doing yoga, they mean merely yogasana. It is just one part, one of the 8 parts. There are 8 stages in that yoga: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. The most important of all the 8 parts is dhyana, meditation. So unless you are an adept in meditation, can't claim yourself as yogi in the true sense of the term. Of course, you might have entered into the process of yoga through yogasana, pranayama, but yoga is still far away. It is not at the threshold of yogasana or pranayama, nor in the proximity of yogasana or pranayama. It is still far, far away. You can truly claim you have entered into the life of yoga only after you have been able to have some advancement in meditation, in the technique of meditation. So what is this transcendental state? Transcendental state is the state where you are in your reality. You are living as yourself. It may sound very much paradoxical. Swamiji, what is presently our state? Are we not ourselves? Am I living like any other person? Am I not living like my own self? You think there is no truth about my present being? Such questions quite naturally may arise in one's mind. Yes, you are not living as yourself. You are living as some other person. Everyone in this world, in the population of the globe presently, 750 crores or something of that sort. Every one of us, we are living not as ourselves, as someone else. Swami Vivekananda gives a beautiful lecture on this topic in America. If I remember well, it is in New York, on this subject, the real and the apparent man. The real and the apparent man. In each one of us, in every one of us, there are two men, the real man and the apparent man. The apparent man is created by your own self. It is your own self. Apparent man means your ego. E-G-O, ego. There is one ego under the presidency of which all our activities are taking place. I have my own picture. I like this. I don't like that. He is my man. He is not my man. I like Hubballi. I don't like that some other place. This is my house. That is not my house. The ego is composed of two things, ahankara and mamakara. Ahankara is aham. What is your definition of your aham? Aham in Sanskrit means I. Aham. The definition, the picture that you have about your aham is ahankara. Whatever picture you may have, that is not correct. The true picture is described in the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutras. That is the basis of Hinduism or basis of Sanatana Dharma. Some people have some objection if I call it as Hinduism. In the whole of Bhagavad Gita, in the whole of Upanishads, in the whole of Brahma Sutra, that are together called as Prasthana Traya, the tripod, tripod, upon which Sanatana Dharma stands, deals with ahankara and mamakara, how ahankara is, how mamakara is, and how to obliterate, how to erase them and establish in their place your true self. That is all the subject matter of Sanatana Dharma. Nothing more, nothing less. This is exactly spirituality. You have your own picture about yourself, I said. That is ahankara. That ahankara is based on mamakara. Mamakara means this is mine, this is not mine. Ahankara means this is me and this is not me. Me and mine. Ahankara, mamakara. This ahankara, mamakara, or the ego will have to be obliterated. It should go. It should get out. That should not remain in you. As long as it remains in you, you are not able to realize the true glory that associates itself with you. We are the most glorious people. Vivekananda used to say, no sciences, no books, no scriptures can ever imagine the glory of self that appears as man. Reflect on this. No sciences, no books, no scriptures in this world can ever imagine. He didn't say, can never describe. He said, can never imagine the glory of self that appears as man. Are we so? Are we so glorious? No scripture can describe, can even imagine my glory. Am I so? I am not that glorious. There is no glory at all around me. There is no glory at all in me. Because I am living in my apparent self, not in my true self. So this apparent self will have to be removed and the true self will have to come. Life should be so framed, life must be so formulated that every activity of us will enable us to achieve this. That is Indian culture. In Indian culture, life, this is called tapasya. Technical term that we use for this. Obliterating the ego and establishing self in its place is tapasya. The greatness of Indian culture is that tapasya and jivana are no two different entities. Jivana, life itself should be made tapasya. Every profession, chartered accountants can use their own profession for achieving it. I can use my profession if I use meditation for that purpose. You may use your chartered accountancy for that purpose. A teacher may use his lecturing for that purpose. An administrator, prime minister may use his own offices for that purpose. Every activity of you can be used for that purpose. This is what the central essence of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna said, you need not go to a cave for becoming a tapasvi, Arjuna. Even warfare can be used for achieving yoga. Through warfare also you can be a yogi. Tasmat yogi bhava Arjuna. Arjuna, you be yogi. Even through warfare, you can be a yogi. How? Whenever you are doing something, your one motto, your one motive should always be to help the man that has approached you and nothing more than that. You should always hold this one particular thing as your motto. What is it? The person that approaches me for any sort of a benefit that he wants to take from me should be made happy. I must see to it that he is satisfied with my services. I must serve him in such a way that at the time of his going back, at the time of his taking leave of me, there must be a smile on his face. That must be how I should do my work. That is all. This is how professions can be used for this purpose. The one and the only concern that the teacher must have while teaching the students in the classroom is to see that every student clearly understand the subject that he is teaching. A hotel worker will have to see that every person that comes to the hotel will go with fullest satisfaction in him that for the amount that he has paid, he got more than that. This philosophy, this principle should be applied to every dealing of man. All through your day, all through your life, you will be a different man. Because that can never happen. You can never make the other person happy unless and until you see your own self in him. The apparent self, remember, the ego is the limited self. Limited self. Self is glorious, but ego is not glorious because we limit ourselves to the confines of this body and so many other parameters associated with the body and the mind. I am son of such and such a person. I am his son. I am not his son. Here itself will come the confinement. I belong to this village. I don't belong to that village. I like this. I don't like that. So when you, the I, becomes a confined entity, a limited entity, it comes to be called as ego. Somehow that pleases us a lot. I want to say I belong to India. I want to say I don't belong to Nigeria. I want to say I eat this. I want to say I don't have flair for that. I relish this particular dish, but I don't relish that dish at all. We have always this sukha, dukkha, labha, alabha, nashta, shita, ushna, sukha, dukkha. Somehow we enjoy this duality. We want to see the difference. We want to see the duality. That is the innate trend, innate mentality, tendency in every living being, more so in animals. Very much less, very much negligible in elevated beings, sublime personalities, saints, seers, etc., etc. So therefore, try to practice seeing your own self in all others so that the ego will become expanded. Ego will thrash out all its confines, artificially created confines, and ego starts expanding. This is the new life. Problems are understandably many, but the solution is one. Man must become a new kind of man. If you analyze the concept of ego that you have in you, you will come to understand that ego doesn't exist at all. The limited self doesn't exist at all. Science helps you there. Long, long ago, in the days of Vedas itself, Indians have found out this aham or mamakara, ahankara and mamakara, they are delusory. They do not exist at all. They have only conceptual existence and they don't have real existence at all. Notional existence and they don't have real existence at all. Just as I prove this with an illustration. There is a pot and there is clay. Pot is made of clay. People say, ahankara will say, clay is different from pot. Atman will say, the self will say, they are one and the same. All those people that claim that clay and the pot are one and the same, they are on the path of yoga. People that claim clay is